Hey there, my name is Catherine and welcome back to Chats About Blindness. I am an orientation and mobility specialist, which means I teach individuals who are blind or visually impaired how to travel utilizing the long white cane. And I'm making these videos to help educate individuals who are sighted a little bit more about blindness. And today we are going to talk about the long white cane. I have one in my hand. Let's see if I cannot break anything because I'm holding it sideways, which I teach people never to do. You have the handle. That's got a little loop here for your wrist. So the handle is quite literally, it's a golf handle. You can kind of see it a little bit, got the spirals and the grip. And then you come down the shaft, you can see joints. This is a folding cane, so you can pull it apart and fold it. They also have rigid canes and telescoping canes. So you go down the joint, and the shaft to the joints, and then you come to the cane tip. This is called a pencil tip. There are many different kinds of cane tips that you can use, and it's really very individualized. It just depends on what the person who is using that cane prefers to have. So you're gonna ask 10 different people, what's the best cane tip? And they're gonna tell you whatever's best for them. There are all different kinds. I don't have them here with me right now, but they can look like round balls on the end. They can look like rolling marshmallows or marshmallows that don't roll. These are quite literally some of the names. There is a cane tip called the marshmallow or a rolling marshmallow tip because it resembles a marshmallow. I mean, we really don't get too creative with the names entirely. Some of them have interesting names. But the point is that the cane tip is an important part of this particular tool. And I really want you guys to look at the cane as what it is. It is technology. It is a tool. Now, this one is made from aluminum. They also make it from graphite. Back in the day, they were wood. And by back in the day, we're talking World War I. And there's a really wonderfully rich history behind the long white cane. And if anyone's interested, I'd be happy to do a video about that. But right now, I kind of want to focus on what the cane does for somebody who is using it. And I always, when explaining the cane, I say it has two jobs. The primary job is to gather information, whether it's tactile or auditory, convey it back to the person using it. The secondary job is to communicate to people around that this individual has a visual impairment. And so let's start looking at that first part. That is an information gatherer. So I know some people have friends who are blind. The white cane is nothing new. Some people have never met somebody who is blind. And maybe some people have family or friends who are starting to lose their sight, and they're wondering, how is this person going to be able to keep going without somebody next to them all the time? Enter an orientation and mobility specialist with a long white cane. These things are the best. They are awesome. So it's a very simple movement. And I'm not going to go too far into the techniques because, again, that's not quite what the videos are. But in general, to understand what the cane does is to understand the basic cane arc. So you're moving the cane from side to side in front of your body, from shoulder to shoulder, plus about 2 inches. So you're moving it just outside the widest part of your body in an even arc, back and forth. And there's science behind this. There are studies behind this to find that nice, perfect width and how to walk with the cane, walking in step with the cane to give your feet as much room as possible for the cane tip to find something before your foot comes to it so you can react. There's lots of science behind this, and we can always use more because let me tell you, more studies, more learning means more knowledge. But there are techniques that we use for this. There's reasons for how you use the cane. So it's always, and I cannot stress this enough, it is always, always important to find an orientation and mobility specialist to teach you how to use the cane properly. We're trained. We have master's degrees. We've got certifications. We're trained to do this. This is all we do as O&Ms, orientation and mobility specialists. So find an O&M. If you feel like you need a long white cane, come find one of us. I'll be happy to help you find somebody. If you drop me a message and want to talk about it, let me know. But again, going back to the cane, it's there to clear a path and to tell the person what is in front of them. What is in that immediate area in front of them? And so it'll do this through tactile feedback and auditory feedback. So tactile feedback, obviously striking the ground. And what kind of ground is it striking? If you're walking down a sidewalk, is it striking concrete each time? Or is it striking grass one of those times? And if it is striking grass, what is the angle of the cane at that point? Because there's nothing wrong with striking the grass. It's a technique called shorelining, where the cane hits the grass every time it goes on that side. It keeps you going in one direction. So nothing wrong with it hitting something. In fact, that's helpful when the cane comes in contact with something, especially if it's something that doesn't move. It's always going to be there and it's big and obvious. Those things we call landmarks. So for an example, a landmark could be a fire hydrant on a particular corner. So now remember, I say that I'm an orientation and mobility specialist. So the cane's the mobility. The orientation part is in your mind. It's in your mental map. So let's say, oh, wow, I know I am in these, I've lost my orientation. Let me see, where am I at? Oh, wait, I'm hitting a fire hydrant. I know there's a fire hydrant at the corner of A and B. Okay, that must be where I'm at, because I know just a short time ago I was at this street, D street or something, because of this other landmark. So there's a lot of reasoning that goes through travel in using the cane. So as I said, it's gathering information for the individual of what's in front of them, whether it's making contact with an obstacle or detecting a drop-off, which could be a curb or a step or a decline in the sidewalk, a really sharp decline in the sidewalk, a really steep wheelchair ramp. It does find this information. It's also, as I said, a communication device. So what the white cane is saying to other people around is, okay, this person has a visual impairment. So maybe they're not going to see me walking directly towards them, and I should say something and move around them, let them know I'm moving around them. And it's just that heads up, especially if you're dealing with street crossings and vehicles. This is a really important tool to communicate to drivers. I mean, just so important. Being a driver and being an orientation and mobility specialist, I can't tell you how important it is for drivers to pay attention, especially at intersections, to really pay attention to those pedestrians. Now, we teach a lot of skills for proper street crossing. There's a lot that goes into street crossing. It is absolutely possible, and absolutely, if the individual does it correctly and the drivers around them are doing what they're supposed to be doing, then it's all going to be good. But remember, they're following their own techniques. They have their skills that they need to use to cross the street. So you as a driver has to see that cane. And I need you to do two things. First of all, recognize it. Realize this person is not going to see you waving. They're not going to see you nod your head, do that little head motion, which I've done to other drivers. Be like, okay, yeah, you go ahead, when everybody's at a four-way stop and they all got there at the same time. Who's going to be the most polite? They're not going to notice that. And let me tell you, yelling out your car to somebody with a cane at an intersection, hey, it's safe to go. Oh, please don't do that. Please. I know this is coming from a good place in your heart, but when you see that cane yelling at the person that they can cross the street, don't do that. Please don't do that. You're breaking concentration, and you're probably breaking a traffic pattern too. When you see the long white cane, it doesn't mean stop where there is no stop sign. This is something else that I see a lot. And I feel like I need to do a whole other video about how drivers should react to the long white cane. But the point is to give you that information that this individual is going to be using listening skills. They're going to be using other skills that maybe you don't know or understand, but it's saying that they have a visual impairment. So there's a good chance that they're not going to see your car. They may hear your car, but not necessarily see it. And they're not going to see you do one of those hand motions to cross or anything like that. So it is just to advise you that you need to be aware that there is a pedestrian there who's using other skills to cross that street, and also to let you know that this person's not going to see everything you think that they should see. Real simple. And really, I mean, I keep afraid I'm going to hit something with the cane. This is really an awesome device. It's a low-tech, amazing device that has been around for thousands and thousands of years. Whether it looked like a long white cane or not, I mean, from the time of early man who first lost their sight and picked up a stick. But it is not a stick. And this is something I am begging you, please. It's a cane. It is a device. It's technology. Low tech, okay, it's not digital. Call it analog, I guess. I don't know. But it's not a stick. A stick grows on a tree. This is a cane. It's a long white cane. It's not meant to put weight on or anything like that. So it's different from the kinds of canes that somebody who has a balance problem is going to use. But it's not a stick. So I'm begging you, please don't call it a stick. And there's a couple of things as far as etiquette. If you are offering assistance to somebody who is using a long white cane, do not touch the cane. This may seem like common sense to a lot of people. I have not only seen it happen with people I work with, it has happened to me, and it blew my mind. I mean, I had heard about that happening when I was still in school, getting my degree for this, but I never experienced. Well, we were told, take your cane everywhere, because we had to learn to teach it. We have to learn how to use it. And so they said, if you go on a trip, take your cane. So I did. And I was in Reagan Airport, and I had the cane to kind of diagonal in front of me. I was just using wherever I went. No, I was not pretending to be blind at all. I was trying to get that cane arc down. I was trying to get that walking in step. All the techniques that I have to teach, I was trying to perfect. So I had the cane with me, and I had a rigid cane. I couldn't fold it up if I wanted to. And I asked the gentleman where the baggage claim was, because they had changed carousels and I wasn't sure where that one was. And I said, could you give me directions, please? And he goes, oh, yeah, I'll show you. And the next thing I know, he reaches down and he picks up the cane at the red spot, picks it up even with his waist, swings me around, and starts walking like I'm a puppy on a leash or something. And I'll be honest, I probably took 3 or 4 steps in total shock before I said, excuse me, and I pulled the cane out of his hand and I said, please don't do that. And I've seen that happen too in my work, and I know I'm going to see it a lot more, unless maybe this video goes viral and people learn that you don't touch a long white cane. Don't try to show somebody where something is by reaching down and grabbing the cane and pushing it towards something. Just don't do it. Don't do it. Because it's rude, and it's incredibly jarring and disconcerting to the individual using the cane. It's a no touchy. So it's not a stick, it's a cane, and it's not something that you touch or grab or pull or turn or push or anything. Because this cane is telling that individual what's going on in front of them. So when you're controlling the cane, they aren't able to. The cane means independence. I mean, honestly, if you can give one word to describe a long white cane, it's independence. So when you are interfering with how that cane works, it's pulling that independence away, and it's making an unsafe situation for the individual who is using it. Trust me, if someone's got a cane, they're going through training. I hope they're going through training. I'm praying they're going through training. And there is a training process that goes with it. And that's my entire job, and every other O&M out there who does such amazing work. And just be respectful of the cane. If you have any more questions about the cane, I'd be happy to help them. As I mentioned before, there's a really very fun history behind it. And how it works is very interesting. But just in general, the cane is there for the individual who's using it to give them tactual and auditory feedback of what's happening in front of their body. And it's also there to communicate to the people around them that they have a vision impairment. And so it's asking those individuals, drivers especially, to be aware of that. And I'm going to actually have to do another whole video about drivers and long white canes and guide dogs and all of that. And I hope this is helpful with you learning a little bit more about blindness, about what goes into traveling for somebody who is blind, and how to interact with somebody who's using a long white cane. And again, if you know somebody or you yourself, you're starting to lose vision or something's happened, drop me a line. I'll be happy to answer any questions, and I'll be happy to direct you to a local orientation and mobility specialist, a local agency, whether it's a state agency or a nonprofit agency. They're all across the country, and they're there to help out and answer questions. But just let me know. And next time you see somebody with a long white cane, remember, say hello, let them know where you're at. No need to jump in the street. Don't grab the cane. And remember, not a stick, it's a cane. So I hope this helped everybody a little bit more. If you want more information, let me know, and have a wonderful day. Bye.